Coming to you from his studio in downtown San Francisco, this is the Backstage Bay Area podcast. And now, here's your host, Steve Roby.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to Backstage Bay Area, and thanks for joining us. I'm Steve Roby. Today, we're joined by pianist and composer Lynne Arriale, one of the most admired voices in contemporary jazz piano. Her latest album, Being Human, is a deeply felt suite of original music that responds to a troubled world through pieces centered on qualities such as passion, courage, love, faith, and joy. Later in the show, we'll also talk about her upcoming appearance in Oakland with the Lynne Arriale Trio. Lynne Arriale joins me now. Hi, Lynne. Welcome to Backstage Bay Area.
Hi, how are you doing today?
I'm good. Before we get into the music, where am I reaching you?
I'm in Florida. I live in Jacksonville, Florida.
All right. Well, greetings from San Francisco.
Beautiful city.
Yeah. For listeners new to your work, how did your musical journey start, and what initially drew you to jazz piano?
I started playing tunes by ear on a plastic toy piano that my parents had. It was about 2 feet from left to right, and I heard songs on the radio, and somehow at that young age, I translated that into my own language, and I started copying in, like tunes from musicals and so forth, and basically playing by ear. And I remember refusing to take a nap unless my mother turned on the little phonograph I had with like musicals, like Sound of Music and My Fair Lady. And I remember actually one of the first tunes I learned or I'd heard was Moon River. And I remember saying to my mom, I have the melody, but I need more chords. And so I was playing, basically by ear, and I begged my parents to let me study piano. And they asked the local piano teacher if I could study. And she said, oh, she's way too young, which of course would never happen today. But then it did. And then I don't know if I was 4 or 5, she let me study with her. And I remember struggling a lot with learning to read music. And I would ask her to play the pieces for me, and she did. And I did a reasonable facsimile of the piece after that. These are really simple pieces. And she finally figured out what was going on, and she said, I'm not going to play it for you anymore, play any of the music for you anymore. You have to learn to read. And that's how I began. And I didn't really hear jazz much until I was in college at the University of Wisconsin in Madison. And I remember hearing some Dave Brubeck, and it was, I think, Take 5.
Yeah.
And I remember thinking, wow, I don't know what this is. They're playing the melody, and then they're playing more melodies. And that was the extent of my understanding, and I didn't even know that it was called jazz. My first real experience with jazz in terms of studying was with Tony King at the Wisconsin Conservatory of Music. And I sat in his studio, and he put a copy of Round Midnight by Thelonious Monk in front of me. And he said, play that and then make up new melodies. And I said, are you kidding? I get to do that? And he said, yes. I said, is that what jazz is? He said, yeah, that's what we're doing. And at that moment, the light turned on, and I was inspired to learn this music and to study the history and to make this my life's work.
Over the years, you developed a very personal voice at the piano. When did you first realize you were establishing your own sound, both as a composer and a performer?
I think that every decision we make, both on a musical level and a personal level, defines who we are as artists. And so I never really thought about trying to create a voice. I just kept making decisions and following what resonated for me. And at the end of the day, that's the path I took, and it felt comfortable. And I continue to explore and try to speak through the music.
Interesting. Let's discuss your latest album. It's titled Being Human. What inspired this project? I'm really curious. And what prompted you to create this music now?
The times we are living in are beyond challenging. I never thought I would see what I'm seeing. And with this kind of division and polarization and conflict in our country and in the world, I wanted to send a positive message, and I wanted to focus on what defines our humanity, what makes us human beings. Because at the end of the day, if our fellow human being is in trouble, we help them, and we're there for them. And I wanted to just focus on the most inspiring qualities: passion, courage, love, perseverance, that make us do what we do. And that's what inspired this group of compositions.
It seems like it's come along at a perfect time.
I hope that it reaches people.
Yeah.
I remember hearing Sonny Rollins do an interview years ago, and he said, I used to hope that my music would heal people, but if they just leave my concert feeling a little bit better, I'm happy. And that's my goal.
Well, let's talk about the song on the album called Passion. The piece is dedicated to Greta Thunberg. What did the title mean to you musically, and how did you try to express it in the composition?
It's kind of an intuitive process, because I remember thinking that I wanted to write a tune reflecting passion. And I kept asking myself, what does passion sound like? And I started playing, and I started coming up with ideas. And I threw a lot of them out. I have a long process of writing tunes, and it takes quite a while for me to refine them and make decisions about what feels right. But that's kind of how it started. And I don't really have a formula for doing it, but it's intuitive, and really hoping that an idea will spring forth that feels like passion, or like love, or joy, some of the other titles.
All right. Well, let's hear it now. This is Passion from the album Being Human by Lynne Arriale, and you're listening to Backstage Bay Area. was Passion from the album Being Human by Lynne Arriale. And Lynne is my guest today on Backstage Bay Area. Lynne, one thing that stands out on your album Being Human is that it treats music almost like a universal language of encouragement. When times feel difficult or divided like they do today, what can music do that words sometimes can't?
Music expresses emotions that often can't be put into words. It affects us on so many levels. It's one of the greatest gifts that we could possibly have. And I feel so fortunate to be able to be doing this in my life. It's a language that we could have people from totally different cultures together listening, and it would speak to them. And they would have their own individual experience of that performance or that recording. And that in and of itself is remarkable, that everybody might come away with something different, yet hopefully the music reaches them and speaks to them in some way and resonates with them.
Well said. Another track you wanted to discuss on the show today is the song called Joy, which is near the end of the album's emotional journey, and it provides an uplifting note. What made joy an important part of this project?
Well, I love calypsos. I've been playing calypsos for years, and I remember meeting Monty Alexander many years ago, many years ago, and I know he was on your show, and I was listening this morning. It was such a great interview. And I said, Monty, how do I learn to play calypsos? I love this music. And he said, turn on Harry Belafonte, day and night. And I did. And I was so thrilled to be able to actually be on tour with Monty and 8 other jazz pianists, Hank Jones, Tommy Flanagan, Cedar Walton, and to get to know Monty a little bit. He's such a remarkable person.
Yes, he is.
Anyway, I've recorded a bunch of calypsos over the years, and there's such an infectious quality. And I thought that would be a way to hopefully bring a smile to people's faces when the album came to an end.
Is that what you want the piece to convey to the listener when they hear it?
Yes. And I also dedicated this to Brené Brown, who talks about joy and finding our authentic selves. And when we are who we are, there is a possibility of finding not only peace, but joy, just in the simplicity of being who we are.
Let's listen to it now. And when we come back, I'll ask Lynne about her upcoming Oakland performance. This is Joy from Being Human, here on Backstage Bay Area. Just heard Joy from the album Being Human by Lynne Arriale, which is available now. Lynne is my guest today on Backstage Bay Area. Lynne, let's shift the focus to your upcoming Bay Area show. You'll be performing at the Piedmont Piano Company in Oakland as part of the Jazz Piano Master Series. What can audiences look forward to at this concert?
We'll be playing selections from Being Human as well as some new compositions that I've written. And I'm really excited to be playing with the musicians in the trio. Ethan Fillion is a great bassist from Chicago, and Tanner Gus is a drummer from New Orleans. And I've played with both of them before in separate contexts. And I thought this would be really fun to come together and play with these musicians who have not played with each other before. And that's part of the universal language of jazz, that we're able to play with so many different players because we understand this language and have similar backgrounds and so forth. So this is going to be so much fun. And Piedmont Piano Company is such an incredible place. There have to be about, 60 pianos in this whole showroom. And it's just an amazing sight to behold.
It is. I've been there. It's an amazing place.
Yeah. Oh my God.
Yeah.
And so, and Jim has just done such a great job in promoting artists and bringing beautiful music to the community.
Can you talk about what selections you'll be playing that night?
Yes, we'll be playing passion and courage, love, joy, and some new pieces that I just wrote. One is called Wide as the Sky. And I'm still actually working on titles for the rest of the tunes, which I've written, but finding the right title is not always so easy, and they're still in process. But I'll be debuting some of these tunes for our concert.
All right. When people leave the show that night, what do you hope they're carrying with them from the music you're going to be playing?
I hope that whatever struggles they're going through, whatever challenges are going on in their lives, I hope that they're a little bit lighter for that time that we're together. And I hope they feel the connection between the musicians and also that our energy is going out to them. Music is a gift of love, really. And the audience is so much a part of this experience. The audience affects us. We feel them. And we want to just reach out through sound and speak to them.
Sounds like a great evening of music, Lynne.
I'm looking forward to it.
And let me remind our listeners, you can catch the Lynne Arriale Trio on Saturday, April 25th at 5:30 p.m. at Piedmont Piano Company in Oakland as part of the Jazz Piano Master Series. Tickets are available at piedmontpiano.com. And for more on Lynne Arriale and her music, please visit lynnearriale.com. Both links will be included in the podcast show notes. Lynne, thank you so much for joining me and sharing more about Being Human and this upcoming Bay Area performance.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate your inviting me. Thank you.
Thank you, Lynne.
Are you a jazz musician preparing for a run in San Francisco? The Backstage Bay Area podcast wants to help tell your story. We are currently filling our guest lineup with the artists keeping the jazz scene alive. If you have dates booked at a local club or concert hall, let's get you on the mic to discuss your latest work. Connect with us directly. Send an email to backstage.sfbay@gmail.com. Just let us know when you'll be playing in San Francisco. That's backstage.sfbay@gmail.com.
Backstage Bay Area is dedicated to keeping jazz alive in the 415 by spotlighting the artists, presenters, and venues that sustain this music. The most meaningful way to support local jazz is simple. Show up, buy a ticket, and experience the music live. Visit BackstageBayArea.com and explore our upcoming concerts section, featuring both a weekly guide and a weekend guide to jazz shows across the region, plus the latest concert news. Thank you for keeping jazz alive in the 415.
You've been listening to the Backstage Bay Area podcast. Visit us on the web at BackstageBayArea.com. And don't forget to keep jazz alive in the 415.